Hello, all you beautiful people. I am Josie Jensen, your host with the Brilliant Wonders podcast. I almost said 010 podcast. I have two podcasts, so I have to stay on track. So here I am. Today we're going to be talking about change because I don't know. It's just been coming up a lot. And something I have really had to come to realize is that a lot of people really struggle with change and struggle with, not only making adjustments, but riding out the process. So, okay, as an entrepreneur for myself, like this change is just inevitable. And I have come to find that change is actually something I need, I crave. I'm not saying it's always easy to change, but making changes to my health, making changes to my location. Gosh, I live in Spearfish now, which I don't know if you know that yet, but I've moved from the ranch to Spearfish, back and forth between the two places. A lot has changed in my life in the last 5 years for sure. 6 or 7 years probably, if I'm going to be honest with you, including location. And then, so I feel like at this point, change is something that I flow with quite easily, especially like big changes. I honestly find that big changes for myself are almost easier than the little changes that I try to make, on a day-to-day basis or something. So I was thinking about this because, if I am the minority, like what and who do I know that is relatable to the majority, right? And as I'm thinking about that, I realized, gosh, I was in practice for 10 years, and most of the people that I saw the at least 5, 6 years of my practice. There were a lot of people that I had to really hold their hand through change. And it was mostly change in their health. I mean, that's why they were coming to see me. But it was change in mindset, change in the way that we think about our bodies, and where health comes from. We were very much a health comes from the inside out practice versus health comes from the outside in, right? And as we were shifting through those paradigms and, understanding the vision behind it, that is what kept us on point. So I have quite a few, or like 3 different ideas on how to handle change smoothly, and to allow the change to produce the result that you're looking for. Because a lot of times we give up. We give up before we actually see or reap the benefits of our works, right? We sabotage it maybe, or we just stop doing it. Whatever it is that you're doing. And it doesn't always have to be a do, right? Like change oftentimes though requires the action. And behind the action, behind that is the why, right? Understanding the why. So I'm an entrepreneur. As a kid, I did a lot of different things that I didn't realize were making me like an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I didn't realize that part, but I remember trying to sell rocks. I had bum lambs, and so we sold bum lambs. I don't remember necessarily the money behind it, like what we made or anything like that. But I think deep down, I always had this little entrepreneurial spirit. At one point we had like a science project where we went and pressed flowers in books, like dried flowers, and then brought them in and, would look up what the scientific name of the flower is, or the grasses or whatever. So I was out, riding around on my four-wheeler trying to find all these different grasses, because I was also very competitive. And what I mean by that is I wanted to find the most flowers or the most grasses. When it came to book reading, I wanted to read the most books. Did I get everything out of them? No. But I definitely wanted to have the highest number of books. And my mom can totally attest to that, where I would check out like 50 books from our bookmobile that would come out to our country school, and she'd have to tally it all up so that she could return 50 books in 2 weeks. My poor mom had a lot to take care of there. But anyway, when you think of an entrepreneurial spirit, like that's what I had, that's only 19%. 19% of the US. I just looked it up. So Google AI told me this, so don't quote me on it. But 19% of people have an entrepreneurial spirit. And usually, not always, but usually entrepreneurial spirits are, risk takers maybe, or a little spontaneous, like to see growth and aren't really scared of change. And, growing up, most of the people that I was around, we all lived in the same area for a long period of time. We're talking about generations of ranchers and farmers being on the same place, the same location, maybe doing a bit of the same stuff, how their processes in raising, these cattle or growing the corn or whatever. And then, equipment changes, and some people change with the times, and some people don't change with the times. And neither is bad. I'm not saying that. But when it comes to you wanting to change a bit, or you're wanting to make something different, a different life for yourself, then we have to accept that things are going to change. And as they change, being able to work through the mess a bit so that you can have the result that you want. So let's use this as an example. Let's say you are wanting to change your finances. Okay, so if you're going to start changing your finances, and you want to see a certain either amount, decide what your goal is, and you start to shift that, do you think you're going to feel, let's say you're wanting to put more money into your Roth IRA or something. So let's say you start to change your financial situation, and with what you have, because you're already going to make the change now, you're not going to wait till you have money to do it. You make the changes right now. You set the systems in place, okay? Do you think that if all of a sudden nothing else is changing in your career, you're not making more money, everything's staying the same, but you've decided that you're putting more money into your Roth IRA or something, do you think you're going to feel a bit strapped on your day-to-day spending, right? Do you think that you're going to have to cut back on some of the things that you're doing? Do you think you're going to have to start thinking about other ways to make the funds to add this money to your Roth IRA every month? Is it going, are you making the changes that are actually going, like big changes that are going to start to make you feel a bit tight or claustrophobic, or like, I don't know how to make this work, right? So if you don't move through with it, then you will still have $0 in your Roth IRA. But if you start making the changes, you're going to have money in your Roth IRA, but you're also going to start feeling different in your day-to-day life, right? Or your month-to-month life, or whatever you want to say. So how do we manage that part where we start to feel a bit different, right? Where, I'm not seeing I'm not liking the feeling of this change. It's the same thing when you start cooking different foods or eating different foods, and you're gonna, eat differently. All of a sudden you're like, where's the time? Because now I'm not running through the drive-through, I'm actually cooking my meal, and I need to go home to cook my meal, so then you're being strapped on time or your structure that you normally had, right? There's this little piece that as you make these changes, sometimes they can be small and gentle, but sometimes they feel pretty rough, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is that on how to handle this change and how to make this shift great.